Hi there, welcome back to Family Fire Mission. This is the monthly income SITREP for April 2026. The Family Fire Mission documents how a single income military family is building a second sustainable income through disciplined dividend and income investing. The objective is simple: replace earned income with reliable cash flow methodically and transparently. A quick disclaimer before we begin. This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only and reflects our personal experiences. Nothing in this video should be considered financial advice, investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any security. So starting from the top here, we're still in the launch phase for April of 2026 with 10 income engines active. Our active reinvestment engines are QDTE, XDTE, and RDTE. Our portfolio yield on cost has gone down a little bit to 17.99% with a monthly income of $228.43. The income remaining to hit our goal is $3,271.57. And then that brings us to an income completion of, or rather income goal completion of 6.53%. Our 3-month average income growth is still in the negatives, and I'll get to that a little bit later. And our time to target is still negative. Therefore, according to the math, it would be we would never get to our target. So our gross portfolio value this month is $18,771, which is approximately $1,342 more than we had last month, and that's largely just because the market has gone up a little bit in the month of April. So moving on to our cash flow here. So our total monthly income again was $228.43. We are still in the launch phase, so we are reinvesting all of that amount at $228.43 again, using 0 of those dollars to fund anything for the family yet. And our current margin debt is approximately $1,180 or 7-ish% of the portfolio. The blocks was the highest income producing asset for the month of April at $58.39, and QDTE, XDTE, RDTE, I expect to continue to outperform the rest of them as their monthly, or rather weekly paying dividends, and I am reinvesting those dividends directly back into those ETFs each week. Looking at our milestones here, so like I said, 228 was our income, so that puts us at about just over 91% of our way to 250. We've gone kind of back and forth on the milestones here, from 250 to 300, back to 250. So we're gonna try to be more consistent, and hopefully the market will help us along with that so that we can continue to increase our income. So this month we made a few changes to the portfolio. So starting with what was formerly WPay, and then Top W, TOPW from Round Hill. So we sold out of that. It was approximately $3,000 of capital that we got back into the account, and that significantly decreased our monthly income, probably by about $50. And then we also sold out of YMAX, which is the Yield Max company weekly pay ETF. That also decreased our monthly income by approximately $30 or so. So the reason why we did this was to get out of some of the higher volatility things and go into some of the more broad market tracking ETFs, so QDTE, XDTE, RDTE, and then we bought SPY-I and IWMI as well. So the new one should be for this month are SPY-I, IWMI, and RDTE, and then we sold out of WP, or rather Top W and YMAX. So moving on to our weekly portfolio monitor. So we can see here, starting, we had 5 weeks of April. So starting in the beginning, the week that ended April 3rd, we ended up with a gain that week of almost $600, largely due to actual investment gains. So the market went up approximately 4%. Our portfolio went up 4%. And then the following week continued to go up 775 the next week. So that was a 5% increase. And then the week ending 17 April, when our account value went up $880, which was even more than the previous 2 weeks. So that's 5.36% for the third week of April. And then kind of leveled off at the end of April there. So up 0.72 and 0.66%, but up is up. So I'm pretty happy with that. And what's really interesting, and I'll show the graph in just a second. So at the end of March, we were down 17.74% from where we started. And then at the end of April here, we're only down 4% from where we started. So that's a huge jump back. So 13% in a month. And that's what that looks like right here. So that top is still zero. And we have not had a positive return, but I would say that we started this at a rough time, and we're going to have fun with it. So we're going to keep going. It's nice and fun. Looking at our monthly monitor here, so our estimate for net account value was $25,080, and we were only at $17,487. So we're about $7,500 underneath that. Which is consistent with last month. And then our dividends, as I said, they went down quite a bit. So we are significantly behind our dividend goals that were supposed to be $6.54. And then we are down, or rather our interest was higher this month than anticipated because we were in a different bracket for the margin interest rate. So that's a significant difference, and we had more margin than anticipated by my calculations. So our gross account value, so this includes that 1180 of margin, is approximately 18,788, and so that is still $6.4 thousand behind what our calculation expectation was. And then margin equity, though, 93%. That's still good, way above our red line there of 15%. So we're doing very well, or rather 20%. And then our actual margin is, like I said, 1180-ish. And then that is more this month than we anticipated. But that is, I think, still well within the bounds of our little experiment here. So going to go over here to Snowball Analytics. So starting at the top here, the portfolio value is a little off because it got rid of a lot of the information from Top W, YMAX, and some of the other smaller purchases and stuff from the beginning of this account to now. I'm using the free version of Snowball Analytics, so I'm only allowed to have a max of 10 ETF securities listed. So you'll see me with 10. And so this value is a little bit off from where we're actually at. Likewise, this total profit is a little bit off because it's only capturing the items that are actually in this portfolio right now. And then the passive income percentage, that's one thing I did want to point out, at 15.1% is approximately 7% less than what it was last month with our changes to the portfolio. So moving on to our allocations here, just for reference, our cruise phase, which is made up of QQQI, SPY-I, IWMI, and BTCI. So all of our NEOS funds are the cruise phase funds. The goal allocation at the end of this whole thing is supposed to be about 45%. The current allocation is just under 22%. So we're still working. We're going to add to those over time as well. Right now, our launch phase ETFs, which are our DTEs, so QDTE, XDTE, RDTE, and then blocks, our crypto weekly payer. The final allocation for that is approximately 30%, and then we are currently at 34%. I will keep reinvesting into these until I hit the final allocation amount that I'm looking for numbers-wise to be able to hit our goal for our income. And then our terminal phase, so these are our growth ones really, so VTI and SPMO. So these are also, their dividends are dripped as well. They are quarterly dividend payers, so we don't see dividends from them as often. But that final allocation is 25%. We're up at 51. I'm not looking to really balance this out until the end of the whole experiment, where we get to that income threshold that we're looking for at $3,500. So moving down here, we are set to average approximately $236.70 per month over the next 12 months. That gives us a total for the next 12 months of $2,800 in dividends. We'll see how that increases here with my monthly contributions and any reinvestments that we get as well. For the last 12 months, we've received $973. And then, just as a reminder, we started this back in November. Okay, so from November to now, and this is only keeping track of the ETFs that are currently in the Snowball portfolio. So that doesn't include YMAX, Top W, or I had Ulti for a short time in November as well. So those were high-paying ETFs that are not accounted for here. So I think we're actually a lot closer to like $1,200 received over the last 12 months. But that's kind of an off-the-dome estimate there. So as we get into the latter half of 2026, I'm really going to be interested to see how these purple lines line up with these blue lines here to watch the year-over-year dividend growth. Then moving on here, so Snowball Analytics has done an estimate that we should be able to hit our income goal within 6 years. And that's in here in 2032, and that I think is definitely achievable. We're trying to go faster than that, but it's definitely achievable. And then let's look at the performance of our account relative to the indices. Again, this is just with the ETFs that are currently in the portfolio, so it doesn't account for everything. But we can see here, so from October 31st, let's change this. So November 1st to April 30th, we are 2.91%, just under 3% behind the S&P 500 over that time frame. Then the NASDAQ, we are about 4.5% behind. And then Russell, we are 8.79% behind there. So the relative performance, while it's fun to look at and a good measuring stick, doesn't actually change any of our portfolio actions or rules we're looking at. So it's just a fun thing to look at for us. Looking ahead into next month, the plan still remains largely unchanged. We're going to continue on with our DTEs here instead of Top W and YMAX. I feel much more confident and safer in those. And then the income will still be reinvested for the foreseeable future until we hit about $2,100 of monthly income. So that concludes this month's SITREP. The mission is continuing as planned. If you're following along, the next update will be the mid-month checkpoint in a couple of weeks. And thank you for watching.